Okay, so here we are. Hello, Rebecca. For those of us who don't know us, I'm Meredith Holly. I'm a lawyer and life coach, and I founded Eris Conflict Resolution, where we help employees stop sexual harassment and toxic work environments without quitting their jobs. Rebecca is another trainer in our office. We take people through cultural health impact training to help them address toxic issues at work, and Rebecca and I both do the trainings. So we wanted to get on, and I'll let Rebecca introduce herself too.
So, hi, I am Rebecca, as Meredith said, and I also am a coach for women who have had sexual trauma in their past and are feeling a little stuck. Maybe they've completed therapy and they don't really know where to go from here, but they just know that they could use a little more help and want to move forward with their lives.
So Rebecca has her separate business doing that, and then she also trains for our office. So Rebecca has extensive history in HR and in the military, and she is a fantastic human. And so we both wanted to get on today and talk about something that we hear a lot of people say to us, that when they're experiencing something at work that is making them feel afraid, or that potentially is even illegal, or that is at least abusive, they don't want to make waves with people. They don't want to be the problem. A lot of us, when we experience discrimination, harassment, abuse at work, we don't want to talk about it because we think that then we'll become the problem. And so then what I see a lot is that things get worse and worse and worse until ultimately a lot of people come to us after they've been experiencing abuse for like 8 years. They're having panic attacks, their hair is falling out, they're afraid to go to work every day, and they have sort of long-term physical impacts from it.
Yeah.
So what we say, what we tell people is, you know, what I think is, it's not you making waves, it's the person's behavior that's the problem. But it's a little more nuanced and harder than that. And Rebecca has talked to a bunch of people who've been saying this lately. Like, how are you seeing that come up for people?
Yeah, a lot of people are like, a lot of our clients will try to convince themselves that it isn't as bad as it really is, or they'll compare the situation that they're having at work to some situation that they heard on the news, and they're like, well, I wasn't tied in a coat closet with a gag in my mouth, so
Maybe it's not abuse.
maybe
My
it's
boss
not
is
abuse.
just yelling at me or giving me really nice back rubs every
Yeah.
day. It's not, I don't have a broken bone, so maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I'm just making it up.
Yeah. Like, well, it's probably just me. And there'll be all these ways that they will diminish their experience. And sometimes I think that is a safeguard to having to confront it,
Yeah.
or be the person that rocks the boat.
Yeah.
And they and like they're never in this place of thinking how it could turn out better for everybody. It's
Yeah.
always like the client always is like at this unfortunate place of thinking like they're going to lose their job and like live out of their car.
Right.
And
Or they have kids, and is their child going to starve? Are they going to become home? Like, we go into
right.
these disaster scenarios of, if I talk about this person's behavior,
Mm-hmm.
everything's going to fall apart, right? And I'm going to be the problem. No one's going to believe me. And I also think that, like, if we are thinking like that, we're basically saying that me talking about someone's behavior is more aggressive than someone abusing us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting to see how it come up, like when people would finally come to HR to report something. And I say finally because i I can think of a handful of times it was one time and then they came. When people like come to me, it's like we had to create this situation that was so bad for ourselves that we finally had to do something.
Right.
Like, how about we don't stand for it in the
The whole
beginning,
time. The whole
the
time.
whole time?
And we trust our own instincts, which is like
Right.
easier said than done,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I think we all also have worked with people who just complain about everything, right? So there's like, but then we use that as evidence against ourselves that if we talk about any problems, which only makes abuse worse and only leads to a situation. I mean, I think when people come to us, like I'm thinking about, we had a couple of people come to us recently who have invisible disabilities. And so
Yeah.
they're, bosses were saying like, well, you don't look sick. Like, why do you need all this time off? Why do you got to go see the doctor? You don't look sick.
Mhm.
And kind of minimizing and diminishing the impacts of their disabilities. And I think the people who came to us recently, I think they both said, well, I don't know if we work with you, like, will it cause a bunch of problems and will I be the bad guy? They already don't like me. They already don't believe me. Like, what's going to happen? Is this just going to make it, everything I've done so far has made it worse?
Mhm.
And is this going to be one of those things that's going to make it worse? And what we've seen with them, these are just two really, like, they came to us almost at the same time, totally separately. And these are just like two cases that stand out in my mind of people who like really were able to get back into their work and honor themselves and really are in different situations now, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, like 1,000%. And I think it for both of them, it was you're not standing up to the other person, you're standing up for yourself.
And just honoring yourself. I mean, sometimes I don't even think it's standing up.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
you just have the inherent power to say yes or no
Yes.
to what you'll tolerate. But we're just never taught how to do that, right?
No.
Like,
No, we're not. And there's this thing like there is this thing, there is like a danger in work that if you don't go with the flow all the time, you are
right,
going to lose all your security.
right, right. Everybody's going to hate you.
Everybody's going to hate you.
You're a bad
Blah, blah.
employee. Never going to get another job. It's going in your permanent record.
Yeah, the permanent record in the sky. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I remember it was like something I thought too.
Yeah,
Right?
me too. We're speaking not to laugh at anybody who thinks this, because I'm talking about myself. Yeah.
No. Well, and I remember that, and I hope I don't get any whatever pushback, but the military was always like, you don't want a dishonorable discharge because it follows you around for the rest of your life and you'll never get a job at McDonald's. Okay, here's the thing. You don't have to tell anybody you were in the military, then they won't know.
Ever.
And it's like, ever. And it's just like, you can literally go somewhere else and nobody's ever going to know that you rocked the boat somewhere.
But the other thing that we see, though, is people, when they are speaking their truth, when they're honoring themselves, are not rocking the boat. The person rocking the boat is the abuser. That's the person that's rocking the boat. And if you call out and identify behavior, I just think it's a lie to say that that's rocking the boat at all. And the thing I see make the biggest difference for people who do work with us versus people who decide to go out on their own or to like move from job to job to job is that they see the impact it makes on other people in the workplace too. They're not just thinking about themselves. They see the next person who's going to have the invisible disability, the next person who's going to wear a cute dress one day to work and like get assaulted because none of us are talking about this.
And sometimes that person is right there, right? Like,
yes.
It doesn't have to be
workplace.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes it's like the next person that might come after you, but it's like literally the person in the next cube or the person
is like having the same experience as you.
Right. Like abusers don't just usually, let's say this.
Yeah.
Pick one person to go after, and nobody's ever been like, nobody's like surprised that somebody was doing that behavior. It's what happens a lot, right? Is like a flood of people come in after someone has spoken up and been like, yup.
But a lot of people are surprised though, because a lot of abusers aren't 100% abusers. They're also like a really good dad, or
Yes.
a amazing woman who rose to the top of the company, who's inspiring. Like a lot of abusers, and maybe all abusers, have both sides to them.
Right.
And so a lot of us are afraid to rock the boat because we're like, oh, but he contributes so much to charity, or he does this really good political organizing, or they like have been so brave to come out about their sexual identity. I don't want to challenge that. Like, people have both sides.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean if somebody has a good side, if somebody's a good dad, it doesn't mean they can't also be an abuser at work, unfortunately. I think.
Yeah.
We had somebody reach out recently about one of the cases that we filed, and the person was like, oh, like this person he filed a case against does all this good charity work. And this was true for me too. Like, the person who was giving me back rubs does amazing stuff, right?
Yeah.
And he was not targeting me because he thought I'm going to torture her today, right? He just thought he was entitled to touch me every day.
Yeah.
And so when you can call out that behavior, it doesn't mean that you're saying somebody is like the devil.
Yeah.
Necessarily, or it could be. You could feel that way. But I think
double light, right?
Yeah. I think even if other people give pushback and say this person does really good charity work, or is a really good parent, there will be other people who also say, and I experienced abuse from this person too.
Yeah. And it's like, you don't want to, it's not that you're like taking away from the good part of the person.
No.
It's that you are highlighting, I guess is like you're highlighting maybe an area they really are not aware of that they're doing. Like, I don't personally believe a lot of abuse is conscious. Like, oh, I'm going to go in and creep Meredith out today.
Right.
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 I have seen people where like I've sat them down in investigations and said, well, do you realize that when you do this, this, and this, that is perceived as this? And they're totally shocked. They're like, I had no idea. And they don't want to be that person either.
Right. And this was what happened with me ultimately when the person who was giving me back rub stopped, is he said, I don't want to creep you out. I'm sorry. But like, it took a while for me to get to the place where he would say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we see this a lot of times. If we give up on ourselves, if we don't trust our instincts early on, we kind of take the side of the abuser and say that talking about abuse is worse than abusing. So we just wanted to send this message. I think what people, if anybody has this struggle of like, I don't want to make waves, I don't know if it's bad enough yet, is one of the ones that you brought up yet. I like, maybe if I ignore it, it'll go away. That if you're seeing any of that stuff come up, that is the time to check out cultural health impact training, because I think the only way that I see that go is that things get worse. Like, if you're thinking it's not bad enough yet, you don't need to make it bad enough before you turn it around, right?
Yeah.
So people can check out cultural health impact training at erisresolution.com/training. If anybody that is listening to this, if you know somebody who's in a work environment like this, who's thinking it's not bad enough yet, send them to that page to check it out, have them give us a call, or reach out any way that's comfortable. So thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.